Hello, it's Erin, and welcome to this little space where I just share a little bit of my knitting and excuse me, allergy season. Everything is in bloom right now near me. So I apologize ahead of time if I have coughing spasms. I have some nice iced coffee here, so hopefully that helps. Okay. Um, the first thing that is fairly springy that I would like to share is I decided to this long project that is just something I pick up in between other projects. The Hello from My Colors sweater, which I have shown several times. I finally decided what to do with the sleeves. I received as a gift this beautiful hand-dyed wool from Canada, a Canadian indie dyer whose name I have forgotten, who the company name I've forgotten, but I know it could be Tanis Fiber Arts, maybe. I know I'd heard of them. And it has a bit of cashmere, so this is like luxe, like very squishy, soft yarn wool. And I decided to make like a sleeve cap. This is supposed to be a short sleeve sweater, by the way, but I don't ever wear short sleeves, and honestly I don't know if if this would even fit me, so it may be a gift sweater. But I just thought it was really cool to make the ribbing here as if this is the sleeve cap, and then put a totally different color, solid color, for the rest of the sleeve, and so that it mimics wearing a shirt underneath a sweater, a short sleeve sweater, if that makes sense. I guess it's like throwback to 70s style. But hey, that's when I was growing up. So here is the overall sweater. I love these colors, and as I've said before, and just trying to make at least maybe 14 inches more, or 10, what am I saying, 14 inches total on this sleeve. And it's got some nice, as you can see, it's got some pooling, which kind of, the yellowish tone matches with the yellows, and it's just the funkiest sweater ever. I love it. And we will hope that that is enough wool to make 2 sleeves for 2 arms. Now, my Tesserae Shawl test knit, the most lovely shawl in the world. Nothing bad to say about it. Wonderful pattern. It will be published in Making Stories in June, I believe, which is on pre-order, and I already have placed a link on a prior podcast, vlog, whatever this is. So what dawned on me, this is the way my disorganized mind works occasionally. Not all the time, but because I treat knitting as a second job that is unpaid, sometimes I get my wires crossed between the mind power that it takes for me to do my paid job and then this job. So this is the sunlight is kind of coming in at weird angles, but the Tesserae Shawl, I've finally gotten down almost, I'm like within 10 rows about, so maybe 2 inches, 10 garter ridges left to go. And by the end, you have like 550 stitches on the needle at 1 row, which you can imagine just goes, it takes longer and longer the larger that this triangle becomes. And I will have final finished project photos to share on my Ravelry page, and something a little more professional. But what happened with this test knit was not only did I lose a week because I had an arm injury, a week of knitting, so I missed the deadline, but then, which was mid-March, but then as I got near the end, I realized this is the color scheme of the original designer's pattern with a sort of gray tone and then a green. And so this is pine and limestone. And when I had ordered the yarn, the Cascade 220 fingering, which was in my price range, I did not remember that I had actually intended to make the dark green the starting color, the main color, and then end in the limestone color. So like just a reverse of the designer's scheme. And so when I'm down within, I don't know, 2 inches left to go, this is all I have left. And so I will either supplement with another dark green that I have that's not quite the same to complete the shawl, or I will just end it in a border of limestone. Now, this wouldn't normally matter at all to modify and to just wing a pattern and change it how you like. But when you're doing a test knit, you really try to stick with the designer's intention as much as possible, because the point of test knitting is that when you share your photos of the garment on social media, that is basically marketing for the designer and a good way to just show other people, other knitters, the final project. Okay. So I will have that done soon, but at least I have made progress. It's just slow going with, 500 and whatever stitches on per row. Then I have been really in the greens, this green color scheme, I guess, ever since January. And I will insert some photos. I finally finished my father's blanket, which the cabled blanket, I'll just insert maybe 2 or 3 photos that I took, where every week I started it in December thinking, oh, this will be a quick Christmas present. No. Making a cable blanket, at least especially if you're working full time, is not just a few week project. And I kept holding it up and asking, would this fit a 6 foot tall person? And just asking, is it tall enough? Is it long enough? Every few inches of it. And finally I just decided, okay, it is mid-March. I've been doing this pretty much nightly since December, whenever I could, and I am just ready to be done. And when it blocked out, it really stretched the cables out the width-wise. And so what I thought would be more of a rectangle is actually, it ended up being a nice big lap blanket square. And I gifted it to him yesterday, and he loved it, and I think it will be perfect for cool evenings to just have on your lap, even though we're edging into warmer weather with spring, followed by summer. Okay. And as I was actually working on that project, I just thought continuously of the gratitude that I had for my father's presence in my life. And he's now 85. And so I actually, after I show the next thing, I just wanted to actually read a poem of mine that I had written for him I think, when did I write that? Like maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. Honestly, I don't know, but it's the only poem I've ever written for him. So it describes a bit of his life, the gist of it, of his upbringing, I guess you could say. Anyway, I had forgotten that one of the projects I had started in January when I was feeling just when I had nothing new on the needles and I just wanted to start something different than the other projects I had, is a lace project, which lace always looks better when it's washed, so it opens out. But I'll just show you what I have so far. This is called the Moss Blossom cowl, and I will insert a photo of the designer, model, or not the model, does a model modeling the design. And I just loved, this is actually intended to be one color, but because I absolutely love moss anyway, I'm just such a ecology freak, I decided to go with moss colors that I actually had, and it's going to be a beautiful piece. You end up doing 18 of these segments of between the bauble thing and the lace thing section, and then it makes a big rectangle, and you connect it with just 2-inch seam at the shoulder, so that way it's not falling off of you. You can just put it on, but it looks like just sort of a small shawl, like a little bit larger than a cowl, but just a light wrap. And I think that's perfect for spring. And normally I really don't like baubles. I don't like to make them. I don't like how they look, but this, for some reason, in here it works to me. So I just love this design. It's just one of those things that a knitter's mind, I've realized, for me, I need to have different styles of projects going, because somehow they feed different parts of my mind. And so one would be fun for me to work on if I'm in a certain mood or a certain focus level, then others, are perfect for more mindless, like if you're trying to watch a movie with subtitles, let's say, I can knit without looking if I'm doing a certain type of knitting, so that I can read the subtitles, that kind of thing. So oh yeah, wait a minute. Before I read the poem for my dad, which it may come across as a bit heavy, but it was one of those life moments where it was like a crystal clear moment that I could put down in words. So before I read that long poem, I do want to thank, really, really, from the bottom of my heart, the people who donated to my Knit for Food knit-a-thon, which will be coming up in 5 days, April 5th. Now, April 5th is going to be a large day in the US for another reason, and I would have liked to participate in that by being on the streets. However, I feel that this is one way to be active in a time when so many things are being cut, and including even food banks are being cut right now. The not only funding, but programs that served food banks all around the US are being cut. So it's my way of some level of activism on April 5th. And I'm just so appreciative to the 3 people so far who've donated, which brought me up to the minimum, exceeded the minimum that I need to participate in the event. And one of these individuals who doesn't want to be named has donated every single of the 4 years that I've done this project, and she is not even in this country. And so just really big shout out and gratitude to those people who have such a generous heart to even, consider contributing when it's not even your country that is that needs the help with the safety net. So although one of the organizations that the event supports, I forgot, is an international organization, one of the 4, which is World Central Kitchen. So that is a point there. Okay. I'm not sure. I was on the fence about do I read this or not, but I put so much heart into the cable blanket for my father that I just was thinking of this as I worked on it. And it's really something magical that I love about knitting, or just creating anything, that you can really impart intention into a fabric or a garment, and really think of the person that you intend it for. And I really feel like that's something that is why I do it. That's one reason why I do it. You can't get that from a Target or from fast fashion. You just can't. It's something that just, I feel like it's imbued into the fabric. Okay, so this is a poem out of my little self-published collection, which contains some poems I've written over like 35-year period, but it's not all, by any means, all of my poems, and even some of what I consider my best are not included in here. But this one is the only time I've written a poem for my father. It's called Fireflies for My Father. One thing I'll just mention quickly, my dad's dad was an architect, very Midwestern. His mother almost married and was at one point engaged to Senator Fulbright of the Fulbright Scholarship. So those 2 things are sort of mentioned in here, and that might help give some perspective to this piece. Fireflies for my father. On this last Labor Day visit, your father drives me past his avenue of flags. Your mother is almost gone, and I want to hold a firefly's light like the screened summer porch evenings of your one doctor town. You are capturing every word you can use to assemble a history for your children and imagined grandchildren. Pen and paper are your ears' extensions because the lymphoma is spreading. Your mother is dying. You are going back to Illinois, back to Virginia, back to your mother's farmhouse near Little Rock, her date with Fulbright, her courtship with Grandpa, his second-place design for Boston City Hall. Your father destined his own retirement home, your mother's infirmary, your childhood house, and acres of blooming pears, Jonathan apples, a glorious peach, rolling lawns and wooded hills milkweed rich. The pond you fished, the garden once seeded by Grandma's palms, corn, tomatoes, allium, and parsley. You grew despite your youth restricted each year to a hospital bed in struggle for breath, despite the burden in the nickname Doc. Despite sermons and all the white-spired walls, rolling farms with identical barns and silos facing the road. You sought freedom on those perpendicular lanes of speed, where you could restitch the terrible symmetry of your landscape. You defined a self despite the Buddy Holly glasses and mirrored hairstyles of your county school. You grew despite the jockey's grimacing blackface on doorsteps. You fatefully chose a baby sister who, once adopted, could not be returned. She sharpened your mother's vision as the source of opportunities, a place of work for slow ones, a place free of labels. I tell you, now I need to walk, fast and far after 3 days of country kitchen salad bar, after retirement home air, trying to be heard above hearing loss, trying to be your father's short-term memory. You make an exception. You will walk without destination this once. We enter dusk's ambiguity on a dirt road straight through eye-level corn. Cricket sounds reverberate. Corn tops glow like moon, but the sky is moonless. An ocean of universal time at high speed, stars birthed and dying in a series of seconds in our eyes, in front of and behind our moving feet. We walk the purposeless road an hour. I want us to always remember this light, palpable as generations, temporal as goodbye. So one of the things that I mentioned in there was that my grandma, so my father's mother, after adopting a child that had developmental disabilities where she was young enough that hadn't been apparent at the point when she was adopted. And my grandma started a place that still exists to this day, which was very unusual for her time, I believe. And this is in the state of Wisconsin. It's a place called Opportunities Inc. Incorporated. And it still hires thousands of people with disabilities to work and have some income to support themselves and have a sense of purpose and what's the word that I'm thinking? Self-reliance and independence, essentially. And so in memory of my aunt and my grandmother, I just find that truly remarkable that it's still, her legacy still goes on to this day. So sorry to end on that really heavy note. But you can tell that there are people who are compassionate in this world, and we need to stick together in these times and keep on hanging in there. So I will take my moss blossom and take my leave.